Well, it's a great podcast day for the state of Utah. We have another win under our belt, and I'm joined here with my sweetheart, Tracy.
I am so excited.
I know, right? So, 2025 General Session, our House Bill 495, sponsored by Representative Jim Dunnigan and Senate sponsored by Evan Vickers, and passed the Senate this past week, and unanimously once again. We begin our podcast right there.
Welcome, all of you fantastic dental podcast listeners, to the My Practice, My Business Dental Podcast Show, where we help dentists profit and thrive with excerpts from the clinical business of dentistry training here at My Practice, My Business. We'll be addressing and answering questions with current trends dentists and their teams face each and every day in their pursuit of this wonderful career we call dentistry. And now the host of our show, the clinical director and president at My Practice, My Business, Dr. Rob Thorup.
Now, I know many of you listening today are in other states, and we want you to know that, again, hats off to Tennessee and a couple other states now this year that are trying to get our network leasing, downcoding, and bundling protections law that Tracy and I proffered here in the state of Utah. You're trying to get that in your states, and Tennessee was the first one to copy them. Again, hats off to Tennessee. But all of you in other states, you've got to look at this and copy the stuff that we're doing. Have your association jump on it. It's once a law is written in another state, it's not hard to copy in your state. So that's the beauty of the laws that have been passed. Like that's how the non-covered service laws spread virally through all the other states, is because it started out with one state and it pushed out from there. So this is like some really, this has been a powerful year for us in what we've been doing. And it's pretty exciting to see, there's 5 things, Trace, that we did, but I want you to talk about the one first that Representative Dunnigan already did on the time period, for, what was it?
Timely filing.
Timely filing. I'm like, is it called timely filing? I can't remember. Anyway, but the other components we did here on House Bill 495 in the 2025 session, man, you can look that up and check it out, because this is just great stuff for dentistry. Nobody can tell you that, having PPO plans, oh, you're stuck, you're this, you're that. This is just a bunch of crap. We need to get rid of that misinformation and actually start learning how to be profitable. Now, I am going to have Candid Robbie come out here because I do want to say something, and my wife's like going, oh, no, it was something I said earlier. Are you okay with me stating it?
I'm okay. It just keep it general.
Try to sugarcoat it as much as possible. So we oftentimes have colleagues who will call, and when I say colleagues, that can be office managers and dentists. All of you are our colleagues, the way we look at you. And they'll call, though, especially the docs will call, and they'll say, we'll do an intro course or something, something like that in the state or online, and then they'll go so that other states can see it. And then, but people here in the state of Utah will say, could you tell me more about the law? Okay. Tell me more about the law. I want to learn about the law because I want to be profitable with the law, and you guys charge too much. I don't want to. My gosh. I want to just say it again. Okay, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but if I do, you're going to have to suck it up, buttercup. Okay? Here's the bottom line. If you're not teachable, if you choose not to be a leader and you want to be a follower, and there's so many dentists that are just followers, knock that crap off. If you choose not to be a leader and you choose not to learn business principles, I don't care how much Tracy teaches you about the law or I teach you about the law, you're still not going to have the wherewithal to apply it. If you're not leading in your practice, you're losing. If you don't understand business principles, you're not going to get it. So I'm just going to say right there. So when we sit here and we talk about leadership, we talk about understanding business, and people go, my gosh, your tuition's $55,000, $5,000 down, and $50,000. Please understand, we are getting paid for money you've never seen before. I don't know how to emphasize that anymore, but it is dollars. that come in off of things that we teach you, not stuff you've already been doing. No. And even if you increase your production and it has nothing to do with us, we don't get paid on that either. These are on very specific codes that you agree to. You have to make $250,000 in new net revenue before our tuition's even paid for. And then after that, it's all yours. So I'm just pulling the hair out of my head. Please, docs, please be teachable. Come join our business classes.
And I think the reason why they're asking so many questions is I think they've been burned in the past. I think that they've gone to these consultants and they've given them kind of pie in the sky dreams of what they could accomplish and how to go about doing it. And maybe those other people have not been ethical or legal with what they've done. And maybe that's why they keep asking for it. But I think for me, the most frustrating thing is we're pretty black and white people. And when we show, documentation and we show that we're active with the laws and we're showing contracts and we're having people listen to recordings.
We're doing the laws. The lawmakers know us. The insurance companies that we have to meet with, all of them, when we're doing these laws and having and literally having to be transparent in everything that we do with them. You're saying that doesn't matter.
I think, well, and that's the thing. I think that's why there's that hesitation, because I love the fact that our clients are so successful from training with us when they realize that everything that we do is legal, ethical, contractual. Unfortunately, again, there are going to be those people out there that teach to take advantage of the patient.
Yeah. Nope.
There are people out there that will teach to manipulate verbiage in order to get the sell. And I understand the hesitation, but it's frustrating again for us to give the laws, to show black and white, to hear the recordings, and they could still look at me and go, I don't know.
I don't know if this is legal. I don't know if the insurance companies allow this. I don't know if you can do that.
Well, we even have an insurance rep that comes to the trainings to talk about how we're doing it the right way.
They drop in. We invite them to come randomly. We don't care. Come any day that we're training. And when you're there, though, when they come by, we feed them lunch and we make them take 10, 15 minutes so that our clients can Q&A them right there on the spot. And here they are, confirming what we teach. Unbelievable.
I don't know what else to say.
I don't know.
But having said that, I do want to talk about the different laws that
Let's go to town. This is so exciting. But I had to just point that out. So, oh my gosh, colleagues, please drop the egos, and be teachable. That's all. I was taught by the regional manager of Blue Cross Blue Shield in 1991, how to conduct my dental business within the contract and be profitable with PPO plans, unlike what you see nowadays. And then nothing cracks me up more than when I hear somebody say, yeah, I'm profitable. I know I'm profitable. Profitable. Just saw on the Dental Investment Group, what dentists are, making in other states and in the states that are, the lowest reimbursed states. Yeah. I mean, you only have to go to the U.S. Census stats and see what dentists are making. Go to the ADA stats, see what dentists are making nationwide. And I mean, yeah, there's some dentists that are doing really well, owners, obviously. But wouldn't it be nice to be an associate and be able to make, I say this in Utah, in the Intermountain States, very few are making $500,000 a year. Like, I'm literally 1%. But there's no reason why dentists shouldn't be making in the Intermountain States, $400,000 to $500,000 a year. But you will not make that if you don't know how to run your practice like a business. Hence the name of our company, My Practice, My Business. I hear so many people say it in reverse. I'm like, maybe we should change the name, My Business, My Practice.
We should have two different logos.
Yeah, we should. That'd be funny. But we start out, it's a practice. And then we have to realize, oh my gosh, it's a business too. That's how the name came about, My Practice, My Business. But Trace, let's dive into what we were
Let's
able to
do
accomplish
it.
here. I mean, the governor still has to sign it,
Yes.
but the governor's going to sign it.
But once he signs, it will go into effect May 1st.
Yeah,
So it's going to be a big deal. Big deal.
Except one of the things the
Except for one of the
insurances
others.
have
We'll
until the
chat.
end of the year. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So take it away, my sweetheart.
Okay, we're going to take one at a time, and we're going to chat about it here. So last year, we noticed that one of the insurance companies was trying to change timely filing to 3 months. And it was a policy change. And the problem is patients sometimes don't get us information in time. They think they have one insurance, but they actually have another. Then there's a whole concept of primary and secondary insurance. And so it just did not give these offices, even the ones that were just on it, as far as being efficient and getting everything done, it didn't give them the opportunity to submit claims. And part of that deal was if you don't send it in on time, you can't get paid and you can't collect from the patient. And so that's free dentistry, obviously. We noticed it. Representative Dunnigan did set it up so that we could change it to 6 months with up to 12 months for special circumstances last year.
In 2024. But what happened?
The night before the vote, somebody changed it to 4 months. We don't know who that person was. Oh, yeah, it was 4 months. And so in order to rectify the situation, Representative Dunnigan did take the point of just saying we're going to change this. So House Bill 23 is a separate bill that he was working on. He was able to change those dates. It's now 6 months, and that will be effective May 1st too.
And that's fair. I mean,
Yeah,
I
fair.
thought 4 months was almost fair.
For the most part.
But when you're dealing with primary and secondary insurance, that's where offices can get burned.
Or again, that patient that just doesn't give the right information. How is it our fault? And it's
then
frustrating.
it processes through or something like that. Not to say there's not, copying of numbers, it can be a problem. But anyway, so that's number one.
Number one.
Number two.
Okay, so this one is really interesting. So the last 4 laws were actually kind of a conglomerate of different laws that we were noticing, and I would have been happy with one of them going through. But the fact we got 4, I was pretty happy about. Ultimately, we do have the ability, and we did prior to this law, to opt out of virtual credit card payments from third-party payers. So that's been fine. The problem is the law didn't specify whether or not we'd be re-enrolled back into those credit cards. And what we were noticing is, team member would take the time to opt out of credit card payments. And we do that for several different reasons. For me personally, we're profitable, so the 3% or whatever the fee is for credit cards doesn't bother me as much as an average office. Every little bit helps, but for me, I'm still a fan of tangible checks. I like seeing the money right in front of me. I can put it directly into the account. It just is better for me. So I would make these phone calls to third-party credit card processing companies like Echo V Cards or something similar, and they would opt us out of that particular insurance plan with virtual credit cards and issue a check, but they would automatically re-enroll us with a set number of days. And so we asked multiple times when we would be automatically re-enrolled, and the numbers varied. But ultimately, you're calling, you're telling them you want to opt out, and they re-enroll you back in after a set number of time, or if you put a credit card through on accident, it was just not fair. And bandwidth-wise, you're paying team members to call and to opt out every single time. So our law actually copied Arizona and their law with credit cards. So ultimately, once you opt out, you are automatically opted out. You cannot be automatically opted back in unless you decide and you reach out to them and tell them specifically that you want to. So that's going to be a big win for us with bandwidth and making sure that we are actually focusing on things that really matter instead of being on the phone the whole time. So it's a good law.
Other states have that same problem, though, too, don't they?
Yes. And again, look at your other state laws, like you said, and copy them. This is great. Use the verbiage because it's already been agreed upon. Obviously, it passed. You can even reach out to the people who initiated it and said, okay, tell us about the process. What happened afterwards? Anything that you wish you had changed, and learn from those people. They're happy to share it.
So I almost want to leave this
We'll wait for that
point
one.
3, but
Let's wait for that one.
But you know what? If we don't do it,
we're going to forget.
We're going to forget.
Okay, this one's the cool one.
This one's powerful.
Here's the problem first. We always have to talk about the problem.
Yeah.
There's certain states where insurance companies are changing their requirements for coverage for services to below the standard of care. So an example is going to be, I love using the scaling and replaning concept.
Periodontal disease treatment management or periodontal therapy. This is crazy. And we all know this is a major problem.
So we all know that the standard of care for when those scaling replaning services should be performed, we got the rule of 3. Number one, radiographic bone loss.
Has to have, you got to be able to see that radiographically. Number 2, 4 millimeters or greater, and crime scene on probing. Oh, I'm sorry, bleeding on probing.
Yeah, but crime scene, pretty much, right?
Sorry.
So you've got those requirements, and so that tells you, obviously, from your training, the patient needs scaling or replaning.
They have infection in the gum tissue, and it needs to be addressed.
Yep. So the insurance companies started off by saying half now, half later, right? Where they're doing half the quad, and then they'll pay when you come back and take the patient for the other half of the mouth. Excuse me. It wasn't working because doctors were finally contesting it, saying, no, you can't let the infection stay on one side of the mouth. You need to pay for all 4 quadrants. And we actually teach how to get all 4 quadrants paid by insurance companies because you can. So their trick doesn't work anymore. Their new trick, and I do call it a trick, it's the way to get out of paying, is they are requiring the pocket depths to be 6 millimeters or greater.
And some of the insurance companies now, we saw just in the last couple of weeks, is it literally stated they get to have a choice between 6 and 8 millimeters.
Oh, it's 6. Oh, exactly.
Yeah. So it's not, they can even, bump it out even further.
Now,
Unbelievable that they'd even state such a thing as 6 to 8.
Yes.
I'm like, are you kidding me? 8?
8 millimeters. And what they're saying is it's a different perspective. If they say, we're not going to pay for it as an insurance company, and you do the service, then you should absolutely charge the patient.
But the problem was,
they're saying that if it doesn't meet those limitations of 6 to 8 millimeters, it's not billable to the patient. So you have a problem.
So now what the law states...
Oh, no, the problem is before the law was passed, you either did the scaling root planing and you wrote it off.
They forced you to write it off.
Yeah, forced write-off. Or you wait until it gets severe, 6 to 8 millimeters, and you risk a malpractice lawsuit.
Yeah.
This doesn't work. That's
one example of several,
of many
things that the insurance companies are trying to use their tactics on to, and then, I'm going back and I'm going to, jump back into this thing about, well, Rob, if the insurance company's doing that, why don't you just drop them? Well, hey, how about we just get them to follow their contract and provides state statute that forces them to, follow the standard of care. And then we can take care of those wonderful patients that are on those plans and you don't have to drop the insurance plans. So isn't it, what do you want to do? Oh, I'm going to drop the insurance companies. And
Is that better for the patient?
Mitigate the damage? Is that better for the patient who's paying premiums? How about you learn how to charge fairly for what you do and stop treating to insurance limitations or what we call perceived insurance payment limitations? So this law states that an insurer may not maintain a dental plan that does not allow a dental provider to seek payment of the contracted fee for a covered service from the patient when the insurer denies payment. That is the power play. So, and then for services, and then they wanted to put this in here, and we already turned the tables on them on this. For the service, unless under generally accepted practice standards, the service performed should not be billed. Well, docs, you're the ones that determine generally accepted practice standards. The insurance companies have tried to be the ones to police that. They don't have a license. They cannot police that. And we teach the states how to absolutely run a poll on that can go to the state insurance commission, attorney general, and literally state to the insurance companies, no, you're not going to do practice standards at all. So, and docs, you're not going to also do anything that's not necessary. That would be medical malpractice.
Well,
so
you've got corporate or entities that will police that as well, not the insurance companies.
Yeah, Doppel, and the insurance companies kind of wanted to be the police on that, and we shut that down. So that's what this law, this little verbiage was so powerful, and we had a little pushback on it, but we were able to get them to concede to that. So that was pretty powerful.
Right, number 3.
Number 4.
Oh, were we
Your first
4?
one was what?
Oh, yeah,
Jim
number 4.
did on this.
See, I've lost track already. It's a good thing we were going in order.
Yeah, that's why I told you I didn't want to go back. Okay, number 4.
Okay, so for this one, there are 2 insurance companies that I'm aware of that regularly will state that they overpaid for a certain patient. And instead of asking for us to write a refund check like most insurance companies will, they will automatically recoup that overpayment from a completely different patient on a completely different claim. Now financially, there's an issue from an accounting perspective because now you have to do a series of debits and credits to different people's accounts, but you can't do it without justifying why, which means you're referencing to another claim with another patient's name. It turns into a nightmare because if I were a patient and I wanted a breakdown of why I owed money and all I see on my end is a debit adjustment, so a charge because, something was overpaid, I'm going to want to know why. And that's where it gets really tricky because you can't release information violating HIPAA. It just turns into a nightmare.
And what an accounting nightmare too. And all of everybody in every state that has the insurance companies that do this is like ridiculous.
It really is.
It's like, I love your analogy. State your analogy of the 2 employees.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing. It's like your boss realizing that they overpaid you for a service or for on your paycheck.
Yeah, you got overpaid on your paycheck.
And instead of just asking you to give the money back, your boss takes it from your coworker and tells you guys to work it out.
From the other coworker. Yeah, you guys can figure it out.
You guys figure it out.
Oh.
And here's the thing, we're constantly being told, well, you just have bad accounting on your end, doctor, and you don't know the laws, and you hire people out of high school, and they're saying all these things and regulating us, saying that we have certain time frames. But then they
now they're
overpay
making their own mistakes
regularly, and then they say, well, this isn't our fault. Well, it's somebody's fault. I don't know what to tell you. And so again, the main thing is making sure that we have the ability to give the refunds back with a refund check, document it to the appropriate patient, and keep that random patient out of it.
So now in the state of Utah, they have to notify us of an overpayment, and we have 60 days to cut them a check.
Exactly. Now, it's not 60 days from the date of service because it takes them so long to process now. So it's 60 days from the date of the letter.
Date of the letter from the insurance company to the practice stating, hey, we overpaid you. Now, if it's not paid within 60 days, what happens?
They're taking it out.
Then they're going to take it from... They're going to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
They're going to take it from one patient to the other. So this is what's fun about legislation. We couldn't come at them and say, no, you're never going to do that. It has to be compromise. And I love it that the insurance companies have learned that in the state of Utah, that Rob and Tracy with My Practice, My Business, getting the blessing of the Utah Dental Association, they're going to negotiate with us because they know we're not going away and they know that we mean business. That's what I saw during the battles of that. It was pretty funny.
And they're not going to, here's the thing. We teach to work with insurance companies. It doesn't mean I like them, but we work with them because we both have a goal of profitability.
Yeah, they want to be profitable too, just like we do.
They know that that's what we teach. And so if they're going to push back and be nasty with us, it's going to change the narrative very quickly in our minds with working with them. And so this is where you can be profitable working with them.
Yeah, be nice to
them. The last thing I'm going to encourage is those offices that do the refund checks directly to the insurance companies. Docs, please pay a little bit more and get it certified. The best thing you can do is prove that you sent it back and it was received. Insurance companies, I don't want to give them the ability to say that they didn't receive it and then do a recoup on you. And so please, please, please certify it.
And 0.5.
0.5.
Here we go. And this, you might want to check your own legislation in your own state because this was a
all
shocker
of you
to us.
should be checking under your legislation on dispensing providers. Dispensing providers are listed usually in the definitions of your state law. We noticed that in 2023, there was a new law passed on dispensing providers, and they made a list of what those providers, who those providers were. It was medical doctors, it was physician's assistants, it was nurse practitioners, and it was, I think, optometrists as well.
Something like that.
Like that. Well, we were not listed.
Dentists were left off the list.
And so here we were selling.
And we had a couple of pharmacists that learned of the law, and they got ticked at some of our dentists in our state and filed complaints against them. Doppel came and investigated them.
And Doppel knows this is stupid.
Yeah,
I mean, they do.
But they had to enforce the law.
Yeah.
Doppel had to enforce the law.
So these offices were dispensing prescription mouth rinse and prescription toothpaste, and that's dispensing under the law. And so that's up to a $10,000 fine. And we're looking at that going, well, everybody in the state's doing it.
Yeah.
So definitely didn't want that threat lingering over our heads. And so we knew it needed to be addressed. So according to this law, we have added dentists to dispensing practitioners. Now, dispensing, we do have to fall under the rules with everybody else that if we have something, dispensing, by the way, is when it's packaged by the manufacturer for resale, it does have to be a 30-day supply or less. So that's what all the providers have to do. So we have to fall in line with that. The patient can come in, we can dispense a 30-day supply of the prescription, whatever it is.
30-day supply.
Yeah. Did I say 3?
No, you turned away from your mic.
Just making sure. 30 days. And then from there, if the patient wants more of this particular item, whether it's a toothbrush, toothpaste, or whatever, you've got 2 options. Just like a medical doctor. You can write a script and have them pick it up at the pharmacy. Or you can have the patient come in for an exam like you would do with a regular doctor. And then from there, you could sell them their product. So there's that. Now the exception, because Utah is doing a fun little thing with fluoride. I don't even want to talk about that. We are able to continuously sell or dispense that prescription fluoride. So there's no quantity on that. It can be over 30 days.
Crazy, right? Now, there's a difference between dispensing and administering. So say you have a patient that comes in and they didn't take their antibiotics for a procedure for prophylactic coverage, and all of us will, keep amoxicillin and Ceflexin or Keflex on board. Some of us keep Motrin on board for our patients to give them during the procedure to make sure they're super comfortable when they leave, to help out with the inflammatory process. The other one, too, is a lot of us, inject different types of medications on our patients, and that's administering. So you're not dispensing, you're administering those drugs. So if ever Doppel comes in, tries to give you, what do I say?
Well, by the way, Doppel's there's different names for it in different states, right?
Yeah, it's a division of occupational and professional licensing. So whoever governs your licensing, I just want to say, I come in and give you crap. I couldn't think of any adjective come in and give you the what for and tell you can't do that. Just make sure that your definitions of it, you don't use the word dispensing. You're administering it just like you do lidocaine. Just like you do dexamethasone, just like you do anything else.
And you have a license to administer.
And you have a license to administer. So anyway, kind of exciting.
That's a lot of stuff, isn't it?
That's some really that was some really good stuff. I just love though the one that point 3 that they cannot force us to write off legitimate services anymore. They're done. Because
we did the work. We deserve to get paid, and I will not allow these offices to be at risk of malpractice if they're catering to insurance limitations. That's a problem.
Yeah, and that has nothing to do with bundling and downcoding. This is like policy that literally becomes medical malpractice. They're just stating, when they state that they're not going to cover something, that's fine. They don't have to cover everything because they don't bring in enough premium to justify coverage anyway on a lot of things we wish they did, that we wish they would cover. But you cannot tell us that it is inclusive and not billable to the patient. That becomes a problem.
You can't say it has to be severe before you can pay for it, charge for it.
And that's exactly just like buildups. Mm-hmm. Okay? It doesn't meet our requirements. No, yeah. Fine, don't pay for it, but don't tell me that I cannot charge a patient based upon my generally accepted practice standards.
And let the patient take it up with insurance. If or the doctor. I mean, if the patient is in a position where they feel the doctor did something that should not have been done, then they should be going after the doctor or making a change and going to see another doctor. If the patient feels the insurance company is deceiving them by stating that they cover things and they're making up excuses not to, the patient should be going after the insurance company. Everybody needs to be held accountable. Now, Rob, before I leave, just to let you know, I already
Yeah.
have 2 laws planned for next year.
Oh
so
my
get
gosh.
ready.
She's killing me. Somebody rescue me quick. Anyway, I have one.
do?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
not going to
goodness.
divulge it
Okay,
here.
good.
But yeah, and that's the fun part. The more that we can prevent insurance companies from regulating our industry through legislation, not complaining to the dental associations, stop complaining, be active, work with your associations, get your executives to get their butts off their chairs and actually do something. And it's like we're fortunate in Utah to have a proactive executive here and to have some decent leadership. It's been a few years. We've had good people in positions, but they just have not known how to deal with insurance companies like we have known how to deal with them. And so that's why we go after them legislatively, and that's what needs to be done. I'd really like to state how one state is going after them legislatively and full speed ahead nowhere. It's the stupidest thing, and I think you guys have heard me talk about it, but I won't muddy the water with our wonderful accomplishments that we have done here.
And for those of you who are association members, and even if you're not, I would encourage you to reach out to these executives and say, listen, I want to work with you. I want to help you. Let's get involved. And if you think about it, maybe this person who's in this new position doesn't know where to start.
Oh, beautiful, hon. I'm glad you brought that up.
And wouldn't it be nice if you have a brand new position, you're maybe experiencing a little imposter syndrome and don't really know where to start? How cool would that be if somebody, a dentist or somebody involved in the association came to them and said, listen, let's do this together. Let's help each other out.
And don't hesitate to give us a call. We've helped out multiple states with legislation, and it's like you can call our executive, and he's going to talk about things that we passed, but he's just going to say, "Let me have you contact Tracy Thorpe with My Practice My Business," because she's the one that headed and spearheaded all this stuff. And that's what's really fun. Our executives have their hands full in a lot of other areas. They're trying to manage, all the membership that's in the state, but we don't want to see membership decline either. And the reason why membership declines is because people don't think their associations do enough for them. And that's true in many instances. But, don't, be the solution to the problem. Don't just be a complainer. Be a solution. And your association executive will appreciate the help. And if they don't, then get a new executive director. Get them out of there if they don't want the help. Any last comments,
Nope,
sweetheart?
Just excited. I'm hoping that we can sleep now.
Yeah, at least till next year. Do we feel like Mr. and Mrs. Claus?
Totally.
Every year, it's
The night
like
before the presents are
got
getting wrapped.
to get going on all the stuff. We appreciate you, all of you who listen to our podcast, and we hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you for being with us today. Since 2006, My Practice My Business has been teaching dentists and their teams business skills, dental insurance contractual protocols, and state laws governing how to profitably bill patients fairly for the need-based services they provide. What's more, we guarantee our training, unlike other dental consulting companies in the industry. Simply stated, if you don't increase your net revenue, we don't get paid. We call it dental consulting the way it should be. We believe there's never been a more important time than now for dentists to experience and implement our key methods, knowledge, and business training within their dental practices. To learn more about our guaranteed, no-risk clinical business of dentistry training that is changing dental practices for the better, just go to our website, mypracticemybusiness.com, and surf our pages for additional information about our company and the services we provide. When you're ready, give us a call and get scheduled for the most profitable dental business training that you will ever experience. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call us. Thank you again and have a fantastic day.